My man, my buddy, I resisted, but you were right. I will go on record saying this. I am now convinced that Nintendo has unintentionally confirmed that diving will be in Tears of the Kingdom. But remember, here at Drakenwild, we are scholars. We note down even the most minute of details, and a minute detail it is. If you're new, you can subscribe to the channel for Zelda lore videos. We have an exciting collaboration coming soon. Alright, but let me start from the beginning. Ever since the showcase, I've been flip-flopping on a variety of things, and one of them was diving. I've been hoping we'll get diving ever since Tears of the Kingdom was announced. It felt like a mechanic that was weirdly missing from Breath of the Wild. I mean, the vast majority of previous 3D Zeldas featured diving in some shape or form, but the single one which is sold on its freeform movement doesn't? It's weird! Seeing Link drop straight into the water and resurface immediately felt like all those hopes getting dashed. It's the exact same animation as in Breath of the Wild, there are no prompts displayed to go back down, nothing. Then, a few hours later, I found a video which pointed out a very interesting detail. The icon for the Ascend ability lights up while Link is underwater and grays back out when he breaches the surface. Almost as if game treated the water surface as a ceiling. I won't link the original source of this observation because, to be honest with you, that spread around my YouTube feed like wildfire, and at this point I honestly have no idea who proposed it first. There is just one problem with this, and here it is. That notion is completely and utterly wrong. So I was talking with Hyrule Gamer about it, and he, rightfully, pointed out that ability isn't grayed out during the fall for the lack of ceiling, but rather because Link is in a state which disallows the use of the ability altogether, that being falling. Notice that just before Link is blown off the island, ability is lit up too, even though there is no ceiling in sight. It isn't lit up because you are able to apply it right at this moment and somehow jump to the upper layer of the skybox. It's lit up because Link is grounded and therefore can bring the ability out at all. So, I did what every reasonable person would. I admitted to being wrong and moved on with my life. Except that's not what happened at all. Something still felt off to me. So I sat and pondered about it, and thought, bit my lip really hard. Then it hit me. If the ability is always lit up when Link is grounded because that is the state in which he can bring it out, then that must mean that the game recognizes submerged, and specifically submerged, not swimming, as a similar state to grounded. One in which Link has an ability actions available to him. Almost like there was, I don't know, gameplay while underwater. But there still was doubt. Perhaps this too didn't prove anything. Perhaps this was some sort of an incorrect UI behavior carried over from Breath of the Wild. I play with ProHat, I have no idea what these icons do and when. So I whipped out my Switch and did some research. And here are the findings. In Breath of the Wild, when you turn on the normal HUD, it works slightly differently than in Tears of the Kingdom. Runes are never grayed out. Instead, they disappear outright when they are unusable. However, there's a caveat. It takes a good few seconds for that change in UI to happen. So, when you jump into the water, it is entirely possible for the rune symbol to be displayed for the entire duration of the fall, while Link is submerged, and to only disappear around the time he reaches the surface. However, If you first glide for a bit until the game realizes that the rune shouldn't be displayed and then drop, the rune does not reappear after Link goes underwater. It does reappear pretty much instantly when he stands up on solid ground though. Same thing happens with climbing. You can start climbing, it stays on for a bit, then goes away. You drop, it shows back up pretty much the moment you touch the ground. That is most likely because from the perspective of game design, it is more important that the player is aware he can do something the moment the option becomes available, than to be aware that something just became unavailable. Therefore, the UI has been optimized to show reappearance of the icon immediately, whereas disappearance is less important. Depending on the time player takes to glide, fall or swim, it might not even be necessary to turn off that icon in the first place. It's a small thing, but it saves processing power needed to immediately recall it again. Now, in the gameplay showcase, a similar thing happens. When Link is pushed off and falls, Ascend ability does not grey out initially. Then it remains grey for the entire duration of the fall, lights up immediately after Link becomes submerged, mimicking the behavior we've seen with Breath of the Wild runes when transitioning from non-grounded into the grounded state, then greys out again immediately after breaching the water's surface. There is no reason for the UI to suddenly start behaving like this, unless submerged is a valid state for the ability use. Additionally, the ability proceeds to grey out immediately upon breaching the surface of the water, which is not the behavior we would expect based on Breath of the Wild's UI design, or, frankly, the behavior seen from Tears of the Kingdom's UI just a moment earlier. To me, that suggests that UI designers went for accuracy over memory optimization, specifically for the situation where Link changes state between submerged and swimming and vice versa. The only reason I can think of for why they do that is if for this particular change of state, it is important for the player to know if they can or can't use the abilities moment to moment, because their actions could be easily interrupted in a manner which generally doesn't happen with climbing, gliding and falling. Therefore, diving is confirmed. That's it. That's my case.